Hello everyone and welcome back to Facts with JJJ. I'm Jacob.
I'm Jack.
And I'm Jake.
And in today's video we're going to be talking about Marvel's first family, the Fantastic Four. The group debuted in the Fantastic Four issue number 1 back in 1961, which helped to usher in a new level of realism into Marvel, changing comics forever. The team was expertly crafted by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby and are still massively popular today. We love the Fantastic Four, and we are honestly very upset we didn't get to see them appear in Endgame, because we feel like the Fantastic Four really enriched the storyline in the comics. However, today we are going to be talking about the Fantastic Four inevitably joining the MCU and how they should be introduced, discussing who should play the characters, laying down the groundwork for a storyline, and explaining their absence in the MCU so far. So without further ado, let's get started.
The first thing we want to address in this video is who we think should be cast for the Fantastic Four and a couple of the most famous villains. We have to admit, coming up with some of these characters was very easy, but for others it was extremely hard. It took us a while, but we think we've picked the perfect cast for a new Fantastic Four movie. The first character we should recast is Reed Richards, who we think would be perfectly represented by John Krasinski. If you've seen any concept art of John as Reed Richards, you'll know exactly what we mean. He looks perfect for the role and we think he'd deliver an excellent Mr. Fantastic too. Krasinski is a brilliant actor and has been in many action films such as 13 Hours, Jarhead, and has appeared in horror films like A Quiet Place. This is significant as it proves he would have experience acting in action films, like most Marvel movies are, but also in horror movies, which due to Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness being directed by a horror director, may be something Disney would be interested in. Our last point, which makes us think John should be Reed Richards, is his on-screen chemistry with our main pick for the Invisible Woman, which is Emily Blunt.
Emily Blunt and Krasinski both appeared in A Quiet Place together, where they shared a well-acted on-screen bond. This is very important for a Fantastic Four movie, as Mr. and Mrs. Reed need a believable relationship on-screen, as their relationship drives a lot of the stories in the comics. If there is no chemistry between them on-screen, then this could really ruin the movie, making us think that pairing Blunt and Krasinski is a good shout. She too looks like the character she would be playing, and certainly has the power to pull off a great performance as the Invisible Woman.
The next member is one I'm really excited for, which is The Thing. The Thing is a perfect character, and is by far one of my favourite Marvel heroes of all time. It frustrates me that he has never been done justice in a film before, which made it really hard to pick an actor to represent him. But, after weeks of thinking, we finally came to the conclusion that he should be portrayed by Dean Norris. Ben Grimm should be a very hard character to play, as he has many inner struggles. He is a brute with a good heart and a good sense of humour. However, he's also quite sad and frustrated at times, due to his constant rocky appearance. In our opinion, however, Dean has the acting skills to pull this off. I think it's uncanny how much he looks like the Thing from the comics, and has the perfect appearance of human form Ben Grimm in my eyes. Norris has an amazing backlog of action movies, which would impress any movie fan, and he too has a horror movie under his belt. He plays many characters with humorous and arrogant personalities, which is perfect for the Thing. Dean has been fairly quiet since Breaking Bad, so if he's waiting for his next big break, this is it. We know there are many potential crossovers with the Fantastic Four, and we know they'll be sticking around in the MCU for a very long time. But we'll get to this later. The Thing appearing in the MCU is well overdue now, and I can't think of anyone better to represent him than Dean Norris.
The final member of the Fantastic Four is the one and only Johnny Storm, also known as the Human Torch. There have been many rumours that Chris Evans left the role of Captain America to reprise his role as the Human Torch. We highly doubt that these rumours are true, and we'll be pretty annoyed if that actually happened. Our initial pick for who should play the character was Zac Efron, as he does really suit the role of the Human Torch. However, after some careful reconsideration, we've changed our top pick for Johnny Storm, and we now think that Stranger Things star Joe Keery would be great in the role. Sue Storm's younger brother was 16 in the comics when the team was formed, which makes us think that Keery is a suitable age to play the character, considering he plays 19-year-old Steve Harrington in Stranger Things, despite being 27 in real life. Whether Marvel chooses to make the character a teenager when the team was formed, or slightly older, we think Keery is the right age to portray the Human Torch convincingly. We think he has a good personality to suit the role, as he's shown us during his time on Stranger Things, including his jock-like arrogance in season 1 of the show, and his sense of humour that is shown us all throughout the series, and outside of it in interviews. His appearance is also quite similar to that of Johnny Storm's as well, which makes us think he would be very suited to playing the character.
So now we've got our team assembled, we need a few villains. We don't actually have a planned storyline for the next two villains, but they are rumoured to show up in the next few phases as both are the big bads. Because they are Fantastic Four villains, we thought we'd quickly brush over them in this video, as they are relevant to the Fantastic Four's place in the MCU. The first big villain is Galactus. There's a high possibility that he'll show up soon, and we can't see the Avengers fighting him without the Fantastic Four. This would be an absolute waste of potential, and he isn't a character we'd like to see on screen without the addition of Marvel's first family. We'd like Galactus to be played by Ron Perlman, as we think his face shape is extremely similar to that of Galactus, and his voice could definitely work. Perlman is most famously known for playing Hellboy in 2 movies, which shows he's comfortable playing superheroes and he'd most likely be up for the role, which we hope means this could be a possibility, as we genuinely think this is the perfect casting choice. If you imagine a giant Perlman rocking the Galactus helmet, you should know exactly what we mean.
When the Fantastic Four make their return, we can't imagine Marvel leaving Doctor Doom out of it. He's been in both versions of the film so far, but has never been done justice. We think the only way he could be made worthwhile is to make him a major villain spanning out over several Marvel movies, like Thanos but on a smaller scale. Considering he took over the world in the comics, this isn't too far-fetched and could be done extremely well. The only man we think who could play Doom is Keanu Reeves, which we think is an amazing idea. He is the living embodiment of what Doom should look like, and would play an amazing villain. He's an incredible actor, and we think he would be perfect to play Doom in the MCU. If you are interested in more roles Keanu Reeves could play in the MCU, check out our previous video on the subject, which also has a more detailed section about Keanu as Doom.
Our idea for the Fantastic Four film is set in the 60s, based on the script idea by Peyton Reed. If you don't know about this, Ant-Man director Peyton Reed originally had his heart set on making a Fantastic Four movie back in the early 2000s, which would be in a similar style to the Beatles movie A Hard Day's Night. Due to the idea being pitched before the success of recent films being set in the past, such as Captain Marvel, Marvel executives weren't a fan of this idea as they didn't think it would work, so it was never carried out. However, in present day, we think this would be perfect, as it would explain why the family have never been heard of in the MCU so far, and all the events that happen in this film wouldn't interfere with those in modern day MCU too much, which helps their story fit in with the MCU very well.
We think a great villain for this film would be Mole Man, as he was the first villain the gang ever faced and he has never ever been seen on screen before. Mole Man is also a suitable villain for this film because he isn't a complex villain, so his story could start and end all in one film. We think he should definitely be played by Danny DeVito, because of obvious reasons. Mole Man is the definition of a character DeVito will play. They're both 4'11", and he is very similar to the Penguin, who DeVito played perfectly back in the day. As he took the role of the Penguin, we think he'd consider Mole Man too. We love to see Danny in the MCU, and we can't think of a better suited character for him. Due to him being a very gifted actor, we think that he would make this film extremely enjoyable, and deliver comedy which doesn't feel forced or cheesy, making us think Mole Man is the best villain for this film, especially portrayed by DeVito.
At the end of the film, once Mole Man has been defeated, the family will be working on an experiment and get stuck in the quantum realm, maybe for a mid-credit or a post-credit scene, being released later by a character such as Hank Pym, after the events of Endgame, maybe in Ant-Man 3 or the rumoured Ant-Man series. An Ant-Man film would make the most sense, as it would be directed by the man who wanted the exact film to go forward. The storyline would explain why the gang wasn't in the final fight in Endgame, and would allow their story to begin in the 60s. This would also allow them to cross over with the Avengers in present day, and could set them up for the next Endgame if Marvel did ever want to attempt that again.
All in all, we think that the Fantastic Four would fit perfectly in the MCU, and could make the universe even better. And as things look at the minute, we really could see the team appear very soon. There are hundreds of individual storylines that we haven't explored in this video, which could bring the team onto the big screen again. Even if Marvel don't want to make another Endgame-like movie, there are still plenty of storylines they could pursue to cross the Fantastic Four over with other Marvel characters. Ant-Man and the Wasp are obvious picks for a crossover, which could happen if the Fantastic Four leave the quantum realm. Or another very obvious character is Spider-Man. He's always getting into trouble in New York, turning up to help out in many major events that take place in the city. So how is he meant to protect the city without running into the Fantastic Four? Following on from that point, how can we expect the family to operate in New York without running into the Defenders too? There are hundreds of characters we could see the Fantastic Four mingle with, from Howard Stark all the way to Black Panther, which makes the anticipation for the characters' returns even higher.
So thank you guys for watching this video, and we hope to see you in the next one. If you enjoyed, you can always like and subscribe to the channel for more of our videos, and turn on notifications too to get notified when we upload a new video. And we'll see you again on The Facts with JJJ.